I think this is going to be my last one. It takes so much time and effort to do all of these. Interesting stuff happening. Let's see here. Armed robbery, kidnapping, 2 arrested. Good, they arrested some armed robbers. Good for them. 2 armed robbers wounded and killed. 1 killed in Bushbuck Ridge. I think that is somewhere in Gauteng. Good. Get rid of all of these violent criminals. They're ruining society for everybody else. Really ruining society for everybody else. Serial rapist in the Limpopo area, ruining lives. Big heroin bust in Gauteng. Got $6 million worth of heroin. That's a fair bit. That's a lot. That's a lot of needle injections. Either way, usually the heroin comes from Afghanistan, Pakistan area via Tanzania. Drug crime has increased like I think 15 or 20 fold in the last 15 to 20 years. As all the really competent policemen leave, they're under so much strain, they just decide they've had enough. It just gets worse. Really. It's really a shame. It's so many drugged up people in South Africa, you see them everywhere. Stock theft, 2 arrested. Yeah, happy days. 2 armed robbers nabbed after swift response. We live in a bush. I think that's also in Gauteng. Good. 2 more armed robbers caught. Now don't just give them a year or 2. Lock them away for a very long time. Like 25 years. These guys just get out and do the same thing over and over. They never change. Maybe if they actually get a bit spiritual, they might change, but... Here you go, in Jeffreys Bay, surf area, a couple attacked in their home. Yeah. I think you guys are getting the message here, Every time there's a robbery, people don't care if you are at your house. They just come and violently and violate you. That is what's happening in South Africa, It is very violent. They always use this picture. So, back to basics approach to policing, attempted effort to address trio crime, following up on possible leads. So they're following up on possible leads. 3 o'clock in the morning, it happened on Saturday. 3 unknown males forced entry into the premises. The elderly couple, the 53-year-old and her male friend is 63. They assaulted the female with an object. Okay, yawn. What does that mean? Is it a pipe? Is it a hammer? What did they assault her with? By hitting her over the head. What is the object? Is it a rock? Is it a brick? Is it a bar? Okay, then they took money, jewelry and clothing and fled on foot. Complaint was taken to local hospital where she received medical treatment. Fighting crime is shared responsibility. Yeah, man, it's a shared responsibility. All responsibility has been given to the government, and now the people realize the government's doing jack. It's time for the people to take it all back. Take their education, their health and their protection back. Even maybe stop paying all these taxes and stop using some of that taxes for yourselves. You're not getting anything for it. Okay, so the police is investigating house robbery. They're not investigating assault? Why not? Which one is worse, assaulting her or robbing her? Huh? Could have cracked her skull open. Taken her eyes out. Left her with brain damage. Which one's worse? 53-year-old lady being hit over the head by an object? That is way worse than the robbery. No risk, mates, blah blah blah, please help us if you can, nothing will happen. Cash in transit robbery. There you go. Let's see here. Police are searching for 8 armed suspects following a cash and transit robbery. Cash and transit robbery, that's basically these security companies that move the cash around for the businesses. So it happened at a shopping center. It always happens at a shopping center in South Africa or on the highway, one of the two. Okay, so the security staff was doing their work, and the one driver was approached by the 8 suspects. Yep, open the cash van. So basically open the vehicle for us with the cash in it, or else. And they took all the money and left. So they all lived in an A4 Audi. 8 people. That is fancy footwork, man. Like nice and tight. Oh, there is actually a possibility there were other cars involved. Okay, so they fired the shot. No injuries. Okay, fine, whatever. There's a lot of this happening. Luckily, none of the security people were injured, or a bystander. Sometimes these criminals just shoot randomly and they hit people. Yeah. Police recover high caliber firearms. Good. You know, now you just have to find the vile people that were actually using them, you know. See if any farmers or military men were murdered for these. Armed robbery suspect arrested in Port Elizabeth. Good. Car collides a horse. Okay. Motorcyclist hospitalized following a collision. Let's see here. Women shot during a robbery between Cotton Lands and Tomcart. There you go. Women shot. Recreational violence, man. We're just doing it for the fun, yo. Dude, happy. That's what we do in South Africa, yo. Yeah. Really. Okay, so Sunday evening, a rural area, probably a black lady walking. Okay, so she came back from work and she was robbed and then shot as she tried to escape. 41-year-old lady. Okay. Well, at least that didn't hit any serious organs. Yeah, here you go. Command structure to blame for poor discipline in Defence Force. So the South African Defence Force is utterly useless at this point, we all know it. Utterly useless. South African Defence Force back in the apartheid years were actually really good. The black commandos were also really good, the white commandos were also really good. There was a lot of order. There was a well-running machine. Well-oiled machine. Insufficient budget, it doesn't matter. The people are now doing it as a job to get a salary. They're not doing it as a service and to protect the country. Okay. There's no more proud soldiers. It's all useless. Say like a very large percentage of South African soldiers are HIV positive with TB. No, I mean, if you don't have a job anywhere, you don't have an education, go into the police or the military if you can, you know. Get a decent income and salary and housing and the medical aid and the whole rigmarole. Why won't you do it? Still don't care about your people. A lot of that. Like this, the neglecting of the horses. You know, that's happening. Not maintaining stuff, not being on time, not being tidy. Command structure is lax. Yeah, man, we're all metro people now, you know, we're all civil. yeah, we don't have to really be like on time and prompt, no. So if the command structure is lax and undisciplined, then what do you expect from the people? Yawn, double yawn, we all know that. Okay. I'm saying there is actually crime happening with the police and the military, but a lot of times it's just a blind eye turn to it. Basically also saying there's a lot of political stuff happening as well. Should not be the case. So now politics gets linked to the military forces, and that is the same way that in Africa you get coups, all these military people, they're all into the politics and they want the power. God willing, it won't happen in South Africa. Car accident, KwaZulu-Natal, man shot twice in the head. He's probably dead. Let's see here. Yo. Shooting. Upon arrival, Adamo was found down on the floor. Man sustained 2 gunshot wounds in the head. He's dead. There were no signs of life. Okay, so the police will investigate the circumstances around the shooting. Double yawn as always. Nothing happens. Another recreational murder, yo. We don't like you, we don't like your color, we don't like your accent, we don't like your tribe, we don't like your political views. Or we like your cheap cell phone, we like your cheap shoes. Whatever. Always the same. Okay, there you go. Country literally burning. ANC government is silent. Yes, a lot of that happening. 6 train cars transporting steel were burned by rioters in Cullinan and Leeudoringstad. Between Cullinan and Leeudoringstad. There you go. Bad news. More rioting and protesting, setting stuff on fire for their own pleasure. You're talking about 2 small towns that can barely cope with anything. You get rioting there, it just pushes it over the limit. The only thing left there are old people and like black communities living on the outskirts, getting all free government housing. There's nothing else. It's all farming areas. You go and you kill the farmers and you chase and demonize the farmers off. These places just close down. You have hundreds of thousands of black people without any haven. And the white people just leave. They'll just go somewhere else. Even if they live a bit in poverty, they just go somewhere else with a little bit that they have left. Railroad was blocked with stones. And the police investigated the case, but as usual, no one was arrested. That is the thing, like in South Africa, black people rioting like this, they get away with everything. They are never arrested. That once when the Afrikaans people were having that farming protest, even the city councillors went out and arrested people to make a point. And that was a civil organized protest against farm violence. These people get away with everything here. It is really bad. Really bad. The ANC government is silent about all of this. It's always the same. South Africa is all falling apart. Nobody talks about it. Yes. Are white people becoming increasingly more arrogant? Ooh, interesting question. Are they getting more arrogant? Combined Committee of ANC members in Free State is clear that white people in the country are becoming increasingly arrogant. I reject that by a long shot. I think South African, Afrikaans, white people, even the English white people in South Africa are definitely not arrogant. They're waking up to reality that they're in big trouble and everything is falling apart. But the ANC is playing the race card, you can't say anything about black people in South Africa, then you're a racist. But they can freely say white people in South Africa is increasingly arrogant. What white people? The 500,000 or million white people in South Africa living in utter poverty that's not allowed to get a job because they're working class and they don't have a good education? Not allowed to get a job. That is something different from not being able to get a job. Is it all of them peoples? What peoples? You have to specify it here. Is it the farmers in South Africa? They're all arrogant. What are they arrogant about? From what I can see, is they're all worried about the fact that they're all getting killed off and their farms are going to be taken. There's no arrogance there. What about university? All the professors and all the smart people around there. Are they arrogant? No, they're not arrogant. All of their organizations are under pressure. They're not getting money from the governments anymore. They're trying to get more and more people to pass without dropping the standards. It's not working. They've always got political issues they need to worry about. What are they going to be arrogant about? There's no arrogance there. Now let's talk about the business people. Are the business people arrogant? Absolutely not. They're trying to keep the boat afloat. They're trying to get as many people jobs as they can, and do what they can so that South Africa don't fall apart, working with the government. Where's the arrogancy there? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Is it maybe the upper middle class? Is it all the people, the doctors and the lawyers and the architects and the engineers? Are they all arrogant? I don't think so. A lot of them are struggling to cope with the black empowerment and the fact that there's less and less people using their services as other people migrate, and they have to worry about all this violent crime. Where's the arrogance? There's no arrogance there. Is it the sports people? Are they all arrogant? No, they're not all arrogant, They have to go and worry about the fact that, the country sports is getting worse and worse, and they're not doing that well because of the political upheaval and the pressures on all of them. And people going to play overseas and migrating. Where's the arrogance? There's no arrogance. In reality, the black politicians are probably the arrogant people. They are renowned for being arrogant, self-righteous people. Easy money, they have no morals, they have no dignity, and they let any violent crime and anything get past them as long as they can just enjoy their lives, get richer, and everybody else is subjected. That is something that's been happening in Africa a lot. So, there you go, let's play the race card again. A lot of the stuff isn't racism, it's just white people getting fed up for the fact that their societies are now being run down, and all the money and effort they've invested in it over the years is now being not mismanaged. All the funds are now removed, everything is going bankrupt. They've got all this violent crime, that they never had to deal with. It was black people in black areas usually doing the violent crime. White people in white areas, we were protected from it. And now it's everywhere. You say, oh yes, you didn't protect the black people. Black people had their police and their structures. They didn't protect themselves. Now everybody's suffering under it. All the towns are bankrupt. Government's putting a lot of pressure on businesses. Education system is horrible. Medical system is utterly pathetic. Judicial system is all falling apart. Police and the military useless as tripe. Utterly useless as dung. So why should white South Africans not be upset, because in the apartheid years they were isolated, but the country had a reputation for having really good structures and infrastructure and organizations, well managed stuff. It's all falling apart. When people complain about it, it's called racism. It's not, it's just people complaining. If it was white people running the country into the ground, white people would be complaining exactly the same way about it. No difference. There's no skin color in it. Absolutely none. It's just that the black government is utterly useless in what they're doing. They just turn a blind eye to the corruption and violence. And then again, they want to nationalize everything and blame the white person. Doesn't work. White people would have complained about that if it was a white government doing it as well. So there's no racism in it. The black government get all of this on their heads for this attitude. Because they're polarizing society, making it really, really, really difficult for everybody to work together. Because they're always playing the race card. Instead of playing, let's get rid of crime and corruption and get the country working. They do stuff, they do it badly, they do it half-baked. Things fall apart and then they blame white people because it's easy to play the race card if half the black people are living in utter poverty. So it is. More racist stuff. Wow, there was a lot of that actually in this one. Really a lot. And you can go and read this whole bulletin. You can see at the top what it's called, if you really want to. It's just going to talk about the hypocrisy of the black government and their attitudes against people. I'm not going to read all of this. But there's a lot of bad stuff happening in South Africa and the blame is reflected on the wrong people. Okay, I think let me save this one. It's really becoming a long one. Some news in there. The last article was interesting.